But anyway, what are we talking about today?
Well, we can talk about how Bahamians can't handle the truth. The truth that sure hate boy.
Oh,
So I want Rob.
let's
I
just
want
call it
Rob.
Thursday.
Well, I just want to discuss some stuff that been in the Bahamian news for the past couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Starting off with, that thing that had you all occupied last week.
What
What
thing?
day?
That them people getting married in that country, man.
Oh, the
Dun,
royal
dun,
wedding.
dun,
Yeah.
dun,
The
dun,
colonizers
dun,
getting married
dun.
and Chrissy them waking up early. And let me say
You
something,
woke
y'all.
up early?
And let me
Of course I did.
see.
I thought you didn't like white people.
Excuse me?
I
I
thought
don't
you
like
didn't like
I
white
don't
people.
like
Should I say it
some
slower?
white people. Some white people. Just like how some white people don't like me. But my disgust of the monarchy is so strong that when a black woman marries into the family, I have to see that.
But
You know
that's
the
my
great
thing.
grandmother was black, right?
Well, everybody talking about Queen Charlotte, I guess, because we have Fort Charlotte at home. But even before Queen Charlotte, there was Queen Philippa.
Hold
Blackness
on, but
has always been a
I
part of.
want to go back to what she say. She say her disgust for the monarchy, but she wake up to watch them get married.
Yes,
So she
because the black
inconvenienced
girl is marrying
herself.
into the most
That
evil
don't
prince
make that don't
family.
make sense to me. And this
Yes,
and
it does.
this what was confusing me
I
last
see
week,
that with
right?
my own eye. I just see that with my own eye.
Okay, but
You-
this what was confusing me, right? And I make that post, and you was trying to come comment and talking about kill joy. I don't know what joy I kill, and if the joy genuine, I
Yeah,
can't kill it. But
you
I
weren't being
just
killjoy.
say people can get up early to hustle for themselves, or they can't get up for work. Shoot, some of y'all wouldn't get up early to go pee. Y'all so damn lazy. But y'all would get up early to watch these, and I put big quotes, royal people get married. I just don't understand it. I wasn't trying to knock nobody. Your time is your time. You could do whatever you want to do with that. You could watch porn. You could masturbate. You could watch a royal wedding. That's up to you. That's your time. I ain't telling you what to do with your time, but I just don't want to see people complaining about their finances or their situation if they invest in time and watching them people get married and waking up early to do it. That was my whole point. And I see you coming around commenting and stuff. Listen, like I tell you, if the joy is genuine, then I really can't kill it.
That's not true.
And I don't see why
Stop
people
being
getting
so
joy
absolute.
out of that anyway.
Stop being so absolute, Greg. First of all, we live in a celebrity obsessed culture. Ain't like you don't know that.
That's a problem.
That's the reality. See, I deal things as they are versus things as they should be.
This sound familiar.
That
This sound like
causes
something I tell you all the time.
Oh, I agree, but then again, I don't see why you're so surprised. Now, I would venture to say I can't speak for everybody, but I'm a person who woke up for the royal wedding, but I also wake up to get my hustle on. I wake up to exercise. I wake up to work hard. It just, there's slack people and there are non-slack people, but people are obsessed with celebrity culture.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a problem. I don't know why people are
Child,
so
welcome
obsessed
to the
with
world,
it.
boo. Welcome to 2018. Hi.
2018, this has been the case for a long time. I ain't saying that I don't recognize it as a reality. I just don't, at least at this point in my life, I don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't understand it. Jay, your thoughts? You wake up early?
Hell no.
First of all, y'all are men. Y'all don't give a shit.
What I gotta do with anything?
Only gay men woke up early.
No, okay, hold on. Wait. Stop. All right. Here's the thing. I like to be up on pop culture and things that happen, but I just wasn't that interested because for me it wasn't historic. It didn't matter. I love Meghan Markle because she was an actress on one of my favorite TV shows, Suits.
Yeah.
And I'm a fan of hers, right? And I was happy for her, but he's never going to be king. She's never going to be queen. It doesn't matter. That was like 2/3 of two second cousin once removed getting married. It was just another affair. It was fine. It didn't require me to get up early. I would have seen it on Facebook. I would have seen the highlights. The pictures would have been blasted everywhere. I would have gotten a recap anyway. So I didn't want to waste my time.
Well, I don't care because I truly can't stand the monarchy. I hate that system. I all for meritocracy. I king and queen, just the whole concept. I can't stand. I don't. And you know what confused me, right? People don't like rich kids, right? Like the children of rich people. because
Okay.
they feel like they get, you grow up with a gold platinum spoon in your mouth, everything handed to you, you get your inheritance. They can't stand them. But yet they just worship and praise these royal people when it's the same thing.
It's the same
It's the
concept,
same concept.
just on another
Simply
another
because,
level.
yeah, simply because you were born into this family, you get to enjoy these spoils. But they beat up one set of people for it, but praise another simply because they have this title of queen, king, prince, princess.
duchess.
I mean, Disney really
Duke.
mess you all up. Disney sell you all this fairy tale, and you all got people on a pedestal.
Oh boy, you know y'all too. Oh,
No, and here's the thing: they bleed the same
my
way as
ministry
us. They
is never
shit the
done.
same way as us. They do all these other things the very same way.
Yeah.
No difference. No different. Their red blood count or the richness of their DNA isn't different.
Well,
I
it's
don't get
made
it.
up, first of all. But I don't
Exactly.
understand why you are surprised. The British royal family is one of the most famous royal families in the world. We are a former colonial territory. Okay? There are many variables at work here. British royal family, longest serving monarch. That bitch been on the throne for 66 years. That in
Mm-hmm.
and of itself is shocking considering the lies that are all the royal family. But people are intrigued by it because, again, you know the whole racist culture of Great Britain. Those of us who live in this part of the world, as a Bahamian, I can't love Great Britain because I know the bullshit they did. However, there's a curiosity. People always want to have that curiosity. And for me, in working in television, and Jay, you know this, television and radio, even though it may come on later, there's editings. So there are many of us who wanted to see it for ourselves. I don't see what the big deal is.
But
Like
you
you
didn't
said,
want to
it's
see
up
if
to
she
you what you
fell down the stairs or something
yeah,
like
they
that.
would have cut that out. Like if Camilla had broke her ass, which we was hoping for, they would have cut that out.
Well, anyhow, enough of them damn people. Let's move to what
Not
I
them
thought Jay
damn.
wanted to discuss because it seemed to send Bahamians in a whole dizzy last week. And I don't know if you know about it, Chrissy,
What's that?
but Deandre Ayton,
Yeah,
prospective number one pick in the upcoming NBA draft, right?
and that's an old
Possibly
story.
one of the best athletes that we've produced in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Has a high ceiling.
This is a big deal, like a real
Yeah.
major deal. We had a whole big thing for Buddy,
And
and he was down. He was the sixth pick, right?
he was a 6th or 7th.
He was never projected to go 1, 2, or 3 or anything like that.
If he had won Final Four, he probably
May
would
have
have gone a
moved
little
up a
higher.
spot or not, but
Hi,
the
hi,
sorry, go ahead.
hi. Can I give you a Bahamian reality check?
Mm-hmm.
Buddy ain't Haitian. That's how why y'all fuck up Bahamians don't celebrate
Oh, we have a
Deandre.
new. Hold on now. You got to elaborate on that now. This is
I
some
don't
new
elaborate.
information.
You know how Bahamians go. Because
I don't. Go
that
ahead.
story is ancient. Even I know about that story. I don't follow sports. Okay? That
Right.
story came out long ago.
What happened?
They just picked up the whole story about living in straw houses and shit. That was out long ago.
Oh,
That's
really?
not-
I think it was reported first in January of 2018.
Yeah, it was like
Couple
I
months.
first heard it the beginning of the year. And again, I don't follow sports, but I was intrigued because we all know how Bahamians feel. Most Bahamians feel about Haitians. I was very impressed that Bahamians were jumping on the Deandre Ayton bandwagon, considering that we all know lots of Bahamians don't like Haitians. Or like we just call them, Haitian. You know how fuck up we is.
I didn't even know he was. I didn't even know all of that. I didn't know he was Haitian descent or whatever. I
How
didn't.
much Ayton you know who's Bahamian?
That's the thing. See, I don't care about them things, Chrissy. Like, I wasn't really looking that deep into it. I know I was following him from high school because he was the number one prospect from high
Right,
school.
yeah.
So I was following, I think before his last year in high school, I was following. I didn't care about the name or none of that stuff because those things don't matter to me.
Here's the thing. I think again, you're talking about the Haitian ancestry. I think a lot of people need to come to grips with a lot of their families, their ancestry is from Haiti, right? So if we want to cast that stone, we have to face that reality, right? There's no such thing as a purebred Bahamian.
That's what I'm
Get
saying.
that fallacy out of your head, right?
Okay.
Ayton, for me, and my thing is we need to focus on the real situation at hand. We need to identify what is Bahamian, and if you're born here, does that make you Bahamian? Is it the dad one thing, the mom one thing? I don't know what his situation is. I knew that he grew up here at a certain point, then he moved to the States. It was a business decision for his parents to give him a better opportunity so that if he did reach the potential to probably make it to the pros, that was the best option for him. I know they struggled hard to keep him in private school here and then to afford him the opportunity to go off. And I applaud them for doing it. So for me, I give him the blanket license as Bahamian in my ignorance to his background, right?
Well, it's
So-
the law too. What does the law say?
Right,
Exactly.
What this
right.
reminds me of the whole Deandre Ayton thing reminds me of again, since we're talking about Prince Harry, and you young ones wouldn't know. But remember, Miss Bahamas had a Haitian last name and Bahamian
Yep, I remember.
criticizing
Oh, the
her.
BL one.
I interviewed her and I asked her, "What do you say to people who tell you you ain't Bahamian?" And she said to me, "I have a Bahamian passport," which is a great answer.
Yeah.
So
Perfect
Mhm.
answer.
yeah, the thing is, what the law says that these people are Bahamian. So you could be as mad as you want. But to go back to what your first point was about what DeAndre said about the straw houses and how we ain't got no phone. And I laugh how people say, "Let me go call you on my Kong phone." Look here, I was howling. But the thing is, people reacted differently to DeAndre Ayton, no matter how wonderful he is, no matter how super talented he is. By the way, on behalf of his mama, a single woman who married an ex-man who helped raise him and the bitch-ass daddy trying to come back in his life now.
Oh, really?
Of course.
Raising
Wow.
children. But I think Bahamians just react differently because of the Haitian conversation. That's a conversation that we don't like to have. We all know we treat Haitian people, especially Haitian people with Bahamian lineage, whether they're born here, whether their parents brought them here illegally and the law said at 18 they could pick. We look at life differently when the person has a name like Pierre, Petit Jean, Petit Etienne. We look at you differently. And if you don't believe that, then obviously you don't know the country you live in.
Yeah, and you saw a lot of slick talk. I spoke with Sir Sydney's daughter at length a few days ago, and it was so sad because I saw the same thing that happened with him happening to people like DeAndre. And even if you look at it, Clay, in a sense, Clay has come back year after year, before he was a superstar, and giving back to the community, helping with the Jeff Rogers camp, and just doing silent things. He's never been a showboaty type, but we would look at him in a quote unquote stush with a stush eye, saying that he feel that he better because he's American. He ain't really.
No.
Yeah,
I
a
haven't
lot of
seen that.
Bahamians have that
Now, guess
mentality.
what?
I haven't seen that with Clay though.
I got to cut y'all off. Clay is family. You know
Well,
why
I
Bamans
know
look
for
at
you.
Clay
I know for
differently?
you. Possibly, yeah.
You know why Bamans look at Clay differently? Because Clay
Mm.
mama white. That's another issue Bahamians have. Bahamians don't like to call you one of their own if you have a
Mhm.
parent that's different. So the Clay Thompson issue again, that's another whole different thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm
I've
glad
heard
that you're
the
being
things.
honest with that because that's exactly what it is.
That's what it is.
But my whole thing was I was wondering why Bahamians. Well, let me not say I wondering why, because we know how Bahamians go. They just want to get triggered and freak out on the internet and try to make themselves look like
Fake
they
outrage.
Are. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I wanted.
It is fake outrage.
I was like,
It is.
what would please people? Because these very same people would be complaining and making noise about the outside toilets and the horrible conditions people
Oh, there are
live
no
in.
outside toilets.
And
Chipman said that there are no outside toilets in Centerville.
He said they don't use them.
Oh, okay.
What?
But
From
well,
a
like
man
I said,
who put stickers on pumps. Really, Reese?
Yes.
Really?
yes.
But ain't
Yes.
the woman say that she don't want no water bill, so she like going to the pump? Jackass.
Oh, jeez.
Lord, we got some stupid fucking Bamans, but anyway.
But what I said, right? We would complain about these very things, but the minute somebody else points it out, Bahamians have a problem and act as though these things don't exist. Like we don't have poor people in the Bahamas.
And you know what I hated too? A lot of commentary. I had a post, and this person was going in and saying, "Oh, he was talking about the shanty towns. You shouldn't be brought." I said, "Do you think the shanty towns are the only people that don't have a phone, don't have internet,
don't have running
don't
water.
have cable, don't have running water, don't have any windows, have a holy roof, probably have a piece of thatch roof on top of their little thing?"
They don't drive in Nassau.
No.
They can't be
They don't
driving
go
around
around,
because
and
you will
they-
see that all over the place.
Oh,
But
we
who
don't
has a straw
want
house,
anybody
though?
to paint a bad picture about the Bahamas because it's hard for us to get away from that monkey in the tree in the hut. The way the world looks,
And
that's
that's-
absolutely stupid. There are a lot of poor people living under way below the poverty line.
Yeah, and that was a report just came out the other day. Like half of the people they say living below the poverty line. And this is why I titled it that you can't handle the truth.
Half of
Because
Bamans can't make
Bahamians,
it me.
when the truth comes out, they act like, oh God, no, that's not true. That's not the case. But then it's selective because, like I say, when it comes to politics, that's the number one complaint about poverty and how people don't have running water, outside toilet, all the pumps in these neighborhoods. But then when somebody points it out, like I say, we want, and this, like I tell Chrissy all the time, we want to make sure the car clean. We'll wash it and clean it every day, but the car ain't got no engine.
Right.
Once it look good, we just want to paint this image
Pretense.
Yes,
Bahamians
pretense.
are the biggest pretenders. We are pretenders, and that's one of the reasons, going back to your first point when you started the show, that's one of the reasons why the royal family is such an eye-catching situation, because we love pretense. Many of us would like to just rewrite our life story and make ourselves royal and set up this bootleg system, because most people live in pretense. They love pretense. They wreak pretense in their everyday lives. Very few people are living their true lives. And that's how we are as a people. We like pretending.
And social media just escalates it because that's the ultimate platform to pretend. Everybody living a good life on social media. Everybody's successful. Everybody doing everything they want to do. Everybody want to be where they want to be in life on social media. And that's the problem right now. We don't like the truth.
Yeah, and then we compare. I always tell my son and many of my younger cousins and my little nieces and nephews, and I remember my daddy told me it to me, and it really helped my life be happier. Comparison is the thief of joy. And what social media has done, it has given people, first of all, a platform to be things that they're not. So it gives you license to pretend. I know someone, I just call her Nobenta Pola, because she got about 9 damn Facebook profiles.
What you was call her?
Nobenta Pola. She got 90 personality. Nobenta. Yeah. Got 90 personalities. So you have that mix, that pretense, with the fact that you get some shine when you make these personalities up. Now we all have fake profiles on Facebook. I mean, how are we gonna curse?
No, I ain't got none.
You ain't got none?
What do you constitute as a fake profile?
I got one profile.
Yeah, you so nice.
One.
Well, I will admit, I had one up until about a month ago.
Really? What you used to do with this profile, Chrissy?
Pardon?
What you used to do with this profile?
I use it to, first of all, should I admit this?
Secretly comment on things.
I use it. Of course, being in the public eye, and Jay, you know this, people talk all kind of bullshit about people who are high profile. So I use my fake profile to see the bullshit that people say about me. Because in my mind, and even though people say, oh, Chrissy, why do you care? I still want to know. I still want to take a pulse of what's being said about the brand Chrissy Love. And I just made this fake profile about a month ago. I will admit, I only had Chrissy Love and Christina Thompson. I always had profiles that were me. So the thing is, social media gives people this free reign, if you will, to pretend, to be bigger than you are, to be something totally different, and to live this false life. It's like an escape.
So you've been spying on people?
Of course. Absolutely. The government's spying. Why can't I?
True.
Well, let me try to read the direct excerpt.
That's not even a direct excerpt.
This isn't it?
I mean, that's what is presented, but I always tell people, if you work in media, you know how to decipher certain things, and what is presented in print or on, well, I can't say television or radio. You can cut it up to sound a certain way, to read a certain way, the placement of a comma or a semicolon or a period, and he said, and then continue on another version of the quotation. Yeah. Anything could be manipulated. Right. I think it was half done. I think he was trying to tell his story about what his background was, and then the writer wanted to super sensationalize the poverty aspect, and they tried to create a super buddy times 2.
Can you please read the straw house part? You see, I was still looking. I was
well, let me read
Three Little Pigs. We have houses made of straw. Read that.
Well,
part.
Let me read this. Say Three Little Pigs.
That sounded like an excerpt from the Nelly Day thing.
But this is a post made in the group Bahama Voice. And it said, excerpt from ESPN article on Bahamian Deandre Ayton, who plays for the Arizona Wildcats. Growing up, Deandre would always say he was a star, said Andrea Ayton. I guess that's his mother. I never thought it would be basketball. I thought he would be a comedian. She and Ayton's stepfather, Alvin Ayton, lived in a small 2-bedroom home adjacent to the impoverished communities the cruise ships tend to avoid when they visit. But they sacrificed and picked up odd jobs to send their son and his siblings to private school. Most people say they're in poverty, and this is Deandre speaking, or at least they're quoting him. Most people say they're in poverty because they've got a little Android phone, Ayton said. Those people in the Bahamas don't have phones, no house phones. People live in wood houses, straw houses, no electricity, and barely.
Say it again. People live in wooden houses. What?
No house phones. People live in wood houses, straw houses. No electricity and barely any water, even though we're surrounded by water. My mom and dad, they really did a good job because they did their best to not show us that part of the world.
Here's the thing. This is why I feel that the quote was chopped. I think when I first read it and heard about it, I thought he was talking about what the world perception
That's what
of
I
the
thought.
Bahamas is.
That's what I thought.
And if you saw another excerpt of the original interview, his mother was talking about how they had to do 2 jobs to send him to private school and all that stuff. So it was a lot of context that was taken out. I feel that he was saying, okay, people think that is what they think about us. Mm-hmm. And yes, I grew up poor, but when my mother sent me to away to get this opportunity, that was all business for me. Right. She did her best to protect me from that abject poverty that possibly would not have helped me to realize my potential. Right. But that's me as someone that has an inside look on how media works, have an understanding, and giving someone the benefit of the doubt or a chance to reach their potential without throwing a fucking stone at them for slipping up. And if you listen to his interviews and if you actually followed him and not jump on the self-righteous, the Bahamas is so clean, green, and pristine, and we don't have any type of corruption, la bullshit, you would listen to the love that he speaks and the pride that he speaks about the country that he's proud to be from. So you're killing and dragging down another potential ambassador that wants to do something good for the country. With this, let's disband him bullshit because he's the only.
And I see people wanting to disown him. They say we can disown him and all of that foolishness.
And people don't.
But you didn't own him.
Exactly.
No, but here's the thing. People. Someone said, "Oh, well, they disowning him, he ain't gonna do nothing. He still got ball, right?" But it's like Chrissy said. He's still gonna ball, but you never know what his intention is for when he gets to a certain point. He may want to do something and may have been discouraged because this is the mentality of the people that he wants to embrace. I go back to Sidney Poitier. He wanted to do certain things, and Chrissy, you can talk about this. He did certain things. And he came back and he wanted to do more. In the interview with his daughter, she was telling us about a time before he left and never came back. He wanted to build the first Black studio outside of the United States, along with Quincy Jones and some other notable Black celebrity figures with influence and power. And the government freaking ruled them out of town, and he never came back. He stepped in and
the money, took Sidney money. One of the famous pictures when the Bahamas attained majority rule is Sidney Poitier, Harry Belafonte, Lyndon Pinling, I think Ayton Hannah, they're on the back of a car. I can't remember the picture because, again, even though y'all call me old, I'm still pretty young when it comes to majority rule. And Sidney Poitier contributed a lot to the country. But like most Bahamians who were achieving at the time, the government of the day was very unkind to those who wanted to change the status quo. Sidney Poitier, like when the bridge was being named after him, I had to check a couple youngins who didn't know the history. Sidney Poitier gave lots of money to this country. Sidney Poitier had great plans. But when your friends in power are shitting on you, you get pissed off and you leave. That sounds familiar. Anyway, but the thing is, I still want to know though, Jay, jumping back to your point, and again, I hate to belabor it, but that's just me. I'm a belaborer. Even though Deandre may have been misquoted, I want to know how we get straw house. How straw get in it?
And this is where I feel that the writer and who we haven't checked, we haven't looked at his credibility. It's not like ESPN doesn't take in retractions, but it just depends on the strength of the star. I think he went and he wanted to sell this poor man narrative, poor man making it big, number one prospect narrative, and he may have taken some liberties.
Straw could be. You know what I think it could be?
I think that's what honestly it is. And even if he did misspoke,
straw.
Who's to say no one has a straw attached house on the island?
Jay, but my thing is,
you can't say that. You can't say that with certainty because you haven't explored 100% of the Bahamas.
Yeah, you ain't really. You ain't do your own investment. Hey, listen, I've seen some things, and that's all I can say.
I know people who living on the playground, in the little house on top of the slide.
Jay,
is that not true?
Straw. Well, I know there are people who sleep on our parks in the Bahamas. That happens a lot. But I'm
Right.
still on
So
Yeah,
straw.
and my
How did
thing
the
is
quote
too.
get so misconstrued to
But
straw?
we forget, like, how old is he? Like 18?
he's 18. He's a kid.
Listen,
And-
He has time to learn.
I still misspeak
Straw.
and say certain things, and I 33.
I
You
still
understand?
think
Me too.
that the writer took some liberties.
So for us to come down on an 18-year-old kid when he probably was just trying to describe, right? And you know how we tend to exaggerate a little bit. You know what I mean? We tend to stretch things a little bit.
Embellish.
Come on, Chrissy. That is not that bad. I've heard people say worse when it comes to exaggeration to try to get their point across. I've heard worse.
Okay, well, you know.
So
I
if
even
his
asked-
point was just trying to get across, listen, there are people living in some really poor conditions.
Yes.
He probably just said that right. So just to give a description of
Straw.
what his perception of poverty was in his neighborhood. You understand? So
Straw.
for people to come down on an 18-year-old, I'm like, listen, I would swear think y'all don't ever misspeak ever in life.
Right.
Like
Oh,
everything
I
y'all
got
say
you
comes
right.
out perfectly.
And
Right,
like I
you
said,
can't
the
embellish.
wrong placement of a comma.
Straw?
Kirsty, listen to me. If just say, okay, I could make a statement right now.
You was waiting for the big bad wolf party.
I could make a
Yeah,
statement right now and say Nellie Day and quote Nellie Day, right? I could quote
was
Nellie
a
Day's
dumbass.
article that I have up right now, right? And someone could take a clip from this show and just have me saying XYZ, this is what the Bahamas live like, right? Not really taking the full context. He could have been taken out of context, but we don't know because the writer hasn't said anything. He made an official statement on it saying, listen, it's so sad that the media is taking my words out of context, blah, 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 blah,
I wish
blah.
he had clarified more though.
I
Yes.
wish too, but again,
The statement
he's
was
not
awful.
that star. It's a flash in the pond. It's a 60-second clip. It's done. It's
Straw.
over the next day.
Yeah.
I'm
Like,
still
see,
on
Chrissy's,
straw.
Chrissy's still on the straw.
Now, let me just say for the record, I even thought about it, and I asked some people who I know. You know, Chrissy Love tries to maintain her people in these situations, and I did ask someone who grew up in a shanty town. You know, perhaps if your mama was a weaver, maybe they reinforced the house with straw. Because I've seen abject poverty in the Bahamas. I've seen people interfusing cardboard into mesh wire into corrugated roof. I've seen those kinds of houses, but straw was just a little too extra for me.
Hey, Nellie Day said it. So
But Nellie
that's what
Day,
it
that's
is.
again different things. Nellie Day was a journalist trying to make a name for herself, who didn't have no link to the Bahamas.
Boy, and did she make a name for herself?
Boy, they tell
But it's still out there. You could Google it. You could say houses in the Bahamas. Google it, and someone might look at it as fact and use it as a quote to say,
There's some of
"Oh,
them, yeah?
this is
Houses
just
made
a
of straw.
typical house.
Boy.
That's a tin
roof.
roof.
Whether there's two chop corner?
I'm sure it's somewhere."
Stop.
yeah, where it is.
No, I guess they didn't say where it is exactly, but that's some rough looking homes right there. But it ain't like we don't have these things, and when I drive through, right, and you know what's so amazing to me, Chrissy?
Look at that. Look at that.
Boy, look here, boy.
Doesn't that look like struggle?
Boy,
Have any of you
boy.
been to shanty towns?
I have.
Yeah, I mean not in. I've never been like in. them.
I have.
I've driven past. Oh no, I drove into one before,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
but not like inside the actual. I don't even know if I could call it a structure, but inside where they live in, I never been like on the inside.
Look at that.
I saw they had like a short document.
That's how people live on the island.
Jeez.
This is how some
Have you
people
ever been
live
to
on the
Pigeon
island.
Tree and Mud in Abaco?
No, but I've seen. Didn't they do like a short documentary on the shanty towns?
Yeah, they have. They've
When
done that.
that was difficult to watch.
It is, and the fact that it's happening in the Bahamas and it's happening with the tacit approval of Bahamians.
Yeah.
And
And I don't
Bahamians
know
are
how-
right. We don't like to handle the truth. What he said about living in the Bahamas was his reality minus the straw. But the thing is, we know that we have these conditions that are ridiculous. Yeah, the straw. See, the straw did it for me. And did ESPN retract in any way, Jay?
No,
But
because it
again,
wasn't big enough.
If he's not a big enough star, it's not like that Shaquille O'Neal or whatever the case may be.
And the story wasn't big enough. I mean, think about it like this: we have what 350 to 400,000 people, and total in the country.
And some troll pulled it up and said, "Oh, I could find something on this little boy." I remember him saying something from January. I could bring it back up, and then we caught the wave.
yeah, and we're very small. And when you look at when you're talking ESPN and NBA and stuff, it can take at least probably millions to get them people attention,
He's gonna
which
be
we
fine.
can't generate. So it wasn't even an issue from what I saw to ESPN or
I was just
anybody in the
wondering.
States.
'Cause
It was
you have
just
a
it was
point.
just a discussion Bahamians were having that we were having amongst
Yeah,
ourselves
I
in our
saw it.
social
I
media.
saw. But
You
I
know
was
what I
just
mean?
wondering, since he is he was the talk of the town. I was just wondering because I saw his Twitter statement. Of course, whoever handling his PR, you need to call me. They could work on the spin a little better. It it,
Yes.
it lacks certain
If you get the
things.
contract, call me, eh?
I will. You know what? Look here. When I shine, you shine too, baby.
Hmm.
I ain't
Jay's call
selfish.
himself the spin doctor.
I ain't selfish.
No,
I
no, you can't be.
No.
But I just couldn't believe how people. But like, why I keep saying I can't believe when I see it all the time. We could freak out on the internet, boy. What's wrong with us? Every little
Greg,
thing
where
we want to
else can
blow up
we
over.
freak out?
It's
We
fake
allow our
outrage. We love
governments to shit on
negativity.
us. We don't freak out on the government. We don't freak out on authority. The only
Things
way we
that
can
matter.
freak out is on each other and on social
Yeah,
media. You
yeah.
have people who on Instagram and Twitter, and my son, when I see some of the shit my son is be watching on Snapchat, I'd be like, really though? That's the only
What is
way we can only
what is be
freak out and
watching,
geek
Chrissy?
out on social media.
What is be watching? You can
Anyway,
tell me. Ain't nobody can hear you.
child. That's
Twerk, twerk, twerk,
it's
twerk, twerk, twerk.
obviously an age gap. The generation gap is at work. That's all I'm gonna say.
Man, I want no man. Ain't
Why my
nobody can
son was
know.
watching someone doing the crip walk in front of the cathedral in front of the big priest.
Young man. How old man is?
19.
See there? What we expect from them? We
No,
forget
I'm
what
just
we've been doing at that
surprised.
age. Eh?
I'm just surprised it exists. Guess what? I know. I was like I tell my son, I have been 19. You've never been 55. I get it. But some of
Yeah.
the things are just social media has brought some over the top crap into the limelight that wasn't
Mhm.
there before. And again, unlike you guys, I'm still learning social media. When I was growing up, we didn't have them things. We had call your neighbor and talk everybody business. We had Facebook, Twitter, whatever.
Mhm.
So I guess it's just again the generation gap at work.
Yeah, all it is a different
Look at
a
Sean.
different tool. You know what I mean? You could imagine if social media was around back then in your young days, Chrissy.
No, child. Guess what, child? I'm so happy we ain't had social media because some of the shit I did. Lord, I
That's
so
what I
happy
You would
we
have
ain't
said.
had
been
social media.
famous.
But that's I had to tell one little boy the other day. I said, listen, we ain't born like this, you know. We
I
was
know.
your age too. And we know the foolishness we used to do. That's how we know what y'all is be getting into.
Of
But
course.
Exactly.
trust me. Don't think we just, oblivious to whatever it is y'all doing. We know what time it is. We've
Yeah.
been doing these things.
And they
It's
think they
just
so
different
smart.
versions. Say again?
They think they so smart and they invent something.
Yeah, yeah. Like they ahead of somebody.
It's funny though. Well, Kaylee will soon pull game
Hello?
on you. It's gonna be fun.
Boy, look here. Hey, boy. It could be a journey with me, boy. I scared already. I already scared because the behaviors that I'm seeing being displayed.
Mhm.
Lord.
And these new children, honey.
Man, listen, I don't know what I could do, but I got to figure it out some way, somehow along this journey. I'll figure out how I can deal with it. Because when it starts, the little boys and all these new things you got to deal with. Oh boy, see, and you are a boy, you know what I mean. So you ain't had that stress of having a girl. You know how you all
I ain't
go.
gotta lie. It sounds terrible to say that, and as a girl, I really shouldn't. But I will admit, I'm very happy that I don't have to worry about somebody coming in my house big up. Now he may big up
Mm.
somebody. I ain't gonna lie. The pressure is less, and I know people are gonna rake me over the coals for saying that.
No, I think they'll agree.
The pressure is less. I glad I ain't gotta watch no little vagina.
Oh my God.
I happy.
Why, thank you. That makes me feel so much better.
I'm gonna pray for you, Greg.
Hey, listen, hey, you know what? You know what the good thing is? I recognize there is only so much you can do, and I think as parents, what we do, right?
Mhm.
We give ourselves too much credit.
True.
We feel like we are completely responsible and well, not say responsible, completely in control of our children's actions.
Mm.
Ego. That's the ego.
Yeah, exactly. You are not in control. They are their own individuals. You
True.
understand? They have their own minds, their own personalities, and they're going to make their own decisions. The best thing you can do is try to influence their decision making to the things that you feel would be best for them.
Yep.
At the
Very
end of
true.
the day, the decision is up to them. And I get myself used to that mindset now. So if she does do things that I don't really approve of, I know I can do my best to try and influence her in a different way. But at the end of the day,
Right.
it's her decision.
And you're gonna give her the guidance and the tools. And the thing is, a lot of people we have a lot of parents who are abdicating their responsibility, but we still have by and large a lot of good parents out there who are shaping and modeling their children to make good choices and still letting them live their lives. I think in our conservative Bahamian culture, which I still marvel at that contradiction in terms, that
Boy, look here.
conservative and Bahamian, we don't allow our children to breathe and have that space and make mistakes. We have our children. So I know I grew up, I was so uptight. I was almost afraid to make errors. So,
Yeah.
the thing is, this is a new day. And I hope that more parents realize, like what you said, you can only give the tools and provide the guidance. You don't own anyone. This is not slavery.
Exactly. So when
But
your
then
son
slavery
bring
was a
home-
choice.
Oh,
Shade!
Hey,
I was waiting for that. I got it in.
You got it, man.
I got it in.
before
You got
400 years, comma 400
I got it
years.
in.
It sounds like a choice to me.
I got it in. Jay,
Oh, you know what?
Your face on the air.
Hey, I didn't say my
Hey,
B.
pass me the charger, baby.
You had to apologize. I was surprised at that. Why
You
did you?
apologize too, Jay.
Huh?
You mean
I didn't apologize.
Yes,
He
you
didn't
did.
apologize. He's standing on his position. Let me tell you why. And
Hey,
like
don't make me screenshot your apology. I saw you apologize
To who?
on social media.
screenshot
For
it.
what?
Screenshot it. Let's get some evidence, Chrissy.
Jay, don't do it,
I
sweetie.
didn't apologize on air. I didn't apologize on social
Jay.
media. Go find it.
Jesus, God.
That was Greg.
Jesus.
But let me tell you why. I.
Wayne, bring me
did
the
what
home.
I
I
did,
gotta be a
right?
mother. Wayne, bring me the charger, please. My
Let me
phone
tell you why I
dead.
retracted.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like I explained to Chrissy then. It's not admitting that you. Let me say it's not like saying I wrong per se or in a technical sense,
Mm-hmm.
but it's oversimplifying an extremely complex issue to try and prove a point when there's nothing being gained from proving this point.
Okay.
Essentially,
Okay.
right? So, and then I had to give myself an example to see if I could keep that same position and that same energy, right?
Right.
Which was, okay, if a guy grabs a woman and beats her and rapes her in the back of an alley, did she choose to be raped? And I said to myself, well, no, that's ridiculous. I would never say that a woman chose to be raped. So then how can I say that that brutalization of those people was a choice? Like they chose that.
Okay.
You understand? So that is why I retracted, because it's too complex of an issue and so
Right.
many different factors to try and oversimplify that issue.
All right. And that's awesome. But, and here's the but. I get with the logic that you're saying, right? My thing is, and this is where I think my problem with the entire situation with Kanye was the context.
Look at Chrissy's face.
The context. He did slip up,
Right.
and he tried to correct it within the moment, right? But as we see, people, not only Bahamians, they focus on these things and they don't accept the fact that you're a human, you make mistakes. Because he said 400 years, it seems like a choice to me. And they said, you know what? No, let me use prison, because that's something that we both could identify with, both on the white and black side. Right. So he said slavery is too personal to black people, just like the Holocaust is personal. So he understood the sensitivity, the history.
Right.
Think before you speak.
Within 30 seconds, no one prompted him, but no one focused on it. And I blame the media, because the media jumped on the first part of it and didn't show the clarification of the second part.
You could blame the media. You could blame who you want, but I mean, you know the job of the media. You in media,
right? I know
what the job
but
is.
What I'm saying is the conversation. I'm glad that it sparked conversation. I'm glad that it sparked research and dialogue. But even in the context of it, and I'm going to say this, and I'm not apologetic about it. He knew, just like I knew, like I know that no one signed up for slavery. No one free said, let me jump on the ship, let me go into bondage. No one did that. What he's saying is, as a person, even if the first generation didn't do it for the first 100 years, when you know yourself and you know that you're being treated ill and you're presented with an option to either run away, to revolt, to fight and die or to do the underground world, which all were options, you
And all
then are
happened.
hold on. You are then presented with a choice, and people was like, but they've been conditioned. I understand the conditioning. So that made it such a hard choice, right? And made it a difficult and impossible choice, and no one knows what they would have do. I could say all day that I would have run or I would have fight.
Hold on, now you say impossible choice. If impossible choice, then I mean
no. When I say impossible, I'm talking from an emotional standpoint. It's a difficult one, like
difficult, well,
like because
difficult.
you're weighing failure because no one wants to die fighting, right?
No one wants to die.
So, but do you want to be treated that way anyway? Right?
First
so
of
you
all,
between a rock and a hard place.
Go ahead, Chrissy.
When you're property and when you are owned by someone, you have no choice.
Tubman.
First of all,
she was born into slavery too.
Look here. To have options and choices, you must have your own agency. That did not exist.
Agency. She ran. Did she not?
Like
is she not a part of? Is she not a part of the story?
Like many who rebel, like a Nat Turner, like a Dred Scott, like so many others.
See, the thing about it, and that's we don't want. We're in love with not in love because it's bitter for us, but we don't. Just like Greg talks about, people don't want to look at their abusive parents as abusers because they love them, right? No one wants to say that our ancestors were weak because when faced with a choice to either run away or stay in bondage, they chose to say that's where the choice comes in, but that's where the oversimplification comes in, right? And that's fine.
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Right. So that's where the oversimplification comes in. But I stand on one side and you stand on the other. And guess what? That's fine. Slavery happened. It was a tragedy. Great horrific things happened. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, when you go down to a technical standpoint, after 100, 200 years of bondage, a generation was started to be presented with choices. They had leaders that wanted to rebel,
and
a lot of them chose to stay and turn their backs, and even in most cases turned in people that were planning to run away.
Right.
So when you make a choice, whether the choice is good or bad, it's still a choice.
There is no.
And that's a fundamental law of the universe.
Well, and that's what caused me, and that's why I had the position that I had prior to this whole Kanye situation, because I was looking at it from the whole Harriet Tubman, the Nat Turners, the ones that rebelled. I was saying, okay, it's a choice because they chose that. Listen, I ain't dealing with this no more. I can choose to try and break free, and if I die doing it, then this. And then
they went back to help niggas,
and this is my choice. But again, it's
your
still
2018 choice word definition is little off. Excuse me while I get my charger. Be right back. I'm making a choice to get my charger.
Yeah, you can let your phone die. That's a choice.
But again, you don't want to oversimplify.
No, I get it,
and that's why
it's insensitive,
right? And when I the example that, like I said, that example caused me to change because I would never say that a woman chose to be raped. Now, what we could say is, instead of saying that slavery was a choice, to a lot of people, it was a choice of life and death. And they chose life, which just happened to be slavery. Because from what they experienced, they've witnessed people that have rebelled be killed brutally. So their choice was to live, not necessarily slave. Now, the effects of that choice is slavery, but they choose in life. They ain't saying, I choosing to be a slave. I want to be a slave. They're saying, listen, I just watched this boy get pulled apart by two horses. I choosing to live. I want to be here for my family, and that's what they choosing. You understand?
But again, you see what the words you're using, the root word, choosing. They choose, but it's still a choice. It's okay that they made a choice, but it doesn't take away from the fact that, hey, a lot of people, when presented with an opportunity to run away, to fight and die, or just to fight, they chose a life that they knew within themselves was wrong, and it's a choice. It's still a choice.
You see what Sean does?
And another thing is, people. All right, look at the civil rights movement. Totally different, right? We are conditioned to accept certain things. If you look in the Bahamas, we're conditioned to accept certain things from certain politicians, so we don't protest, we don't agitate, we don't do something. We talk about this all the time, right? That was the same thing that happened during the civil rights movement. People were furious with people like Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, because they agitated, even though they were agitating for the right things, equality and all this other stuff. People was like, "You rocking the boat, you messing this up."
I get it.
So those people were choosing to stay in the state that they were, hoping for something else later down the road, as opposed to taking up the mantle and going to protest and fight and lay down and die for those things.
No, I get it. And it was just it was a insensitive and a poor example to try and get his point about mental slavery across. That's what I saw it as.
Yeah, it was a poor argument.
Yeah, I got his point. I knew what he was trying to say, but it was a poor, insensitive way of going about it.
Aspect of it, because it's so personal, and the fact that he identified it was personal and tried to change, and the narrative didn't change, even though he retracted.
Well, you notice once you say one thing, that's all people hold on to.
A lot of it too was magnified because it was the messenger.
I want to ask you what Chandler asking Jay. She say, how about this experiment? Let Jay and his wife and his children be enslaved and experience everything that our forefathers did, say for 20 years.
Okay. Here's the thing. My wife is white, so we probably go want some slaves.
Lucky you. Lucky you.
Yeah.
Be quiet, Jay. You're digging a deeper hole.
That's a ridiculous notion, right? I wouldn't wish slavery or any tragic event on anybody, right?
Even though it was a choice?
I think she was just trying to get you to get some empathy.
I don't
empathy.
You are so wrong. You are wrong as day follows.
You have a choice. If listen to me. If someone says to me, and
y'all exhausted.
Okay, let me ask you this, and I won't do it right, but let me ask you this: if your wife get raped, you can say she chose to get raped?
No, of course I won't.
Okay, so how can you then say that people chose to be slaves?
Here's what I would say though: if my wife was kidnapped, right, and she was tortured and she held for X amount of years, right, and she was raped and beaten. But during that X amount of years, she had 3 windows of opportunity to get away. Right? And she chose not to get away. I would question why she chose not to.
But then again, that's an oversimplification because it ain't that simple.
And that's your 2018 thinking.
Look at the root. She was
no, but you said no, but
she was suffering.
Hold on, but
she knew it was wrong.
No, but here's the thing. Why I say that's an oversimplification, because you say you make it as though it's just cut and dry. Like the door was just left open and she could just walk out with no consequences.
No, what I'm saying
there are consequences for trying to get away.
No, I understand this. What I'm saying is I'm not oversimplifying.
No, you don't.
I think in a way you're oversimplifying as well. What I'm trying to say, people, I observe a lot of things, right? And I would hope other people, when they go and try and do things that are extreme, that are life risk or whatever the case may be, they take the time to observe, they take the time to strategize, they take the time to plan. So when an opportunity presents itself, you know what you're going to do. If shit hits the fan, and you could kind of do what you got to do.
Yeah,
that's the way I'm looking at it. So with that thinking, I'm saying if you have done that, and you said, you know what, this is wrong, I need to find a way out of here, and you're presented with opportunity to get away, that's a choice that and your choice is, you make your choice based on fear, and that's real, and I understand that. But a lot of people still overcome their fear. And then
every day was fearful.
About the YouTube movement the other day, right? This is how people was like, why victims stay in silence and they don't talk to anybody. But she's an example. She decided not to take the sully advance of this nasty producer, and she spoke to somebody about it, and she was able to handle the situation right then and right there, and get the type of conclusion that is like was good for her. You know what I mean?
No,
different. Not everybody's gonna look at themselves.
Hold on, Chrissy disagreeing. What's happening, Chrissy?
You know what it is? You all are talking from your perspective of being 30-something. You have the benefit of your 2018 thinking. You have the benefit of knowing what having your own agency is. You
and looking in hindsight too.
Benefited from the suffering and torture of others. So your thinking is skewed, Jay, with all due respect. Yeah. Choice implies that you are not property, that you are not chattel, that you have options. And I think that's where the root of the conversation is.
Right.
But Jay, let's keep it real. How you feel about the fact that you said that same dumb shit that Kanye said but nobody tuned into your bullshit you were saying a year ago. How you feel about that? I'm just curious.
It's a messenger. People are programmed and conditioned to hate anything that he says because he's a sporadic.
No.
I agree with that
So
too.
a lot of that was again fake outrage. A lot of black people don't give a fuck about slavery or history, and y'all
And
have
those
to come to
black
that
people
realization
who
it's
don't give a
all
fuck
fake.
about
It's just
slavery and history,
sitting behind the thumbs. Let me say something smart and clever.
disgrace.
Some people copy and paste their passionate fucking responses
Disgrace.
out there to make them seem like a fucking academic.
Disgrace.
Yeah.
And you know they can't string together a fucking.
If
sentence
you
that
a
you
black
fucking
person
like.
Yeah.
So,
and you don't care about slavery, then something fucking wrong with you.
but guess what? Take a survey, and if people are honest, they don't give.
Well, that's
fuck.
very sad
They
that
take the
you young
holidays,
people do
and they
not
get
know the
reparations, they be like,
shoulders
thank you, ancestor.
that you
and they
stand
go
on.
fucking spend it
You
on
do
something
not know the
stupid.
struggle that has given you the option to have all this hard mouth that you have.
Mhm.
The fact that you are clueless about your past, and the
Who,
fact
me?
that you have no idea what it is like, because you
Hold
have
on.
benefited from all those who suffered for you to have all this mouth today.
Ain't clueless about his past. He may be insensitive to a degree about his
No,
past,
clueless.
but he ain't
I'm not even
clueless.
insensitive.
Clueless.
I know about my past, right?
No, you don't. Because you wouldn't have said some dumb shit like you did.
No. People have the right to have an opinion. Just because
The
your
opinion must be
hold
based
on.
in some
Hold on.
sense.
Hold on. You have your opinion based on the information that you were presented. I read the same material and I have a different opinion. It's called interpretation.
That's
And it's called
exactly.
the freedom to
Interpretation
choose
is
something
different.
differently. If the universe didn't want me to have the freedom to choose the freedom to form different opinion, I wouldn't have had it.
But you have freedom to a degree.
A huge degree.
To a large degree.
A huge
Okay.
degree.
So again, stop comparing apples and dog shit.
Yeah, we can't, and
It's
that's
annoying.
and that was a part, but that was a part of my point as well as.
Annoying that you
But that
do
was that was a part of my point too. You can't. It's difficult to look. See, you can't look back at the 1600s or whenever it was with a 2018 perspective.
But that's what
Because-
a lot of
But
people
I'm
do.
not. I'm not saying go on Twitter and
No,
do
that's
protest
no. You
protest.
are because, and here's why.
That
I
is-
can
you
tell you
can't
why.
help it.
Exactly. You have
is
no
your
other
makeup.
option. This is all you can see it
Okay,
from. You
that's
never
it.
existed within that time to have that perspective.
Here's the thing, and this is
You
this
don't
is
even
where I
remember
clarify
Nassau when
my
you couldn't
point.
go to the movies.
If here's the thing, if I was a slave, right, and no one
With a
I
mic
just
in your
taking the
hand.
shit, I pick in the cotton because I'm a field fucking nigga. Look at my skin, right? And I doing everything Master say. I barely getting
That's
some
not
licks.
true. You could have been like the character in
And some
Django.
nigga come up there trying to say, you know what, let's run away. I didn't see what happened to other niggas. Master don't treat me that bad. You know what I mean? I might have been one of them niggas that made the choice to
You
turn
can't
them
make a
fuckers
choice.
in.
No,
Well, anyway,
you
hold
cannot
on.
make a choice.
But anyhow, we ain't getting the.
When you are property and when you are considered ownership, cargo, storage, you don't have a choice. Lord Jesus,
All right,
you'll give
I'm
me a
gonna say
headache.
this again. Tubman was born into slavery.
Hold on, Jay. Hold
He
on.
was property.
Hold on, Jay. We ain't. Hold on,
Jay,
Jay.
stop.
He chose not to be.
Hold on, Jay.
enslaved.
Hold on. We ain't
You
going
have no
back down that
choice.
again. Let me
No
run through
choice.
some of these. Let me run through some of these comments before we push
Yeah.
out. Loletta H. Thomas says, Jay, do you
I'm sorry,
understand?
Chrissy.
Do you understand how many years our forefathers plotted, attempted, and to break free from slavery after having your children taken away and sold, your wife raped at
Maybe you getting raped
massage
too
will?
and buck broken.
Okay, maybe there's some
Possibly that
typos
would
here.
happen.
Your limbs broken and even amputated. What will you do?
Here's the thing. He said
She.
she
Uh-huh.
said that they chose to congregate, to plan and strategize. So they knew something was wrong, but they were
That
trying
wasn't
to make
choice.
a choice
That
and
was
plan to do
survival.
something differently.
Hey, I think it's clear that Jay is not moving off his position. So
Yeah,
let's just continue
today-
to run through.
Boy, look here.
Let's
Must
go
be
run through.
nice. Must be nice, boy.
Let me run through some more of these comments. Keisha Shields Colley says, "What is a good last name? That must be a good woman." She says, "Rebellion, uprising, or insurrection is a refusal of obedience or order. It refers to the open resistance against the orders of an established authority." And then we have Chandel says, "Jay has no
I
understanding."
have no understanding of what I understand.
Zero.
There we have Loletta
Zero
saying again,
understanding.
Jay is oversimplifying everything in this particular situation. Time and opportunity is usually the key, and I'm sure our forefathers fathers thought the same way too. We have Chandel 2018 thinking on 200-year-old dynamic. Hindsight is still not
400.
2020. And we have Yocasta Woodside.
Hey, yokes.
Yokes. This boy so lost when the slaves go where they was going to. when white was the police and the government. Boy, shut up. They didn't even want to allow blacks to read books and be educated, which is true also. Lola,
Found the way to do it anyway.
Jay,
yeah, I agree.
enjoy your bubble that you live in, baby. You know what? Because I find
Loletta
myself
says,
getting
how many?
upset. Enjoy your bubble. I gone before I say motherfuck.
Jay, you run, Chrissy, man. You run, Chrissy, man.
She chose to leave. She chose to leave. She could have stayed.
Yeah.
Impressed on me that I was wrong. But she chose to leave. Did she not make a choice? Choice is the word in 2020. Everybody has a choice.
Look at boy, the people ripping you to pieces, boy.
I don't care.
He's so dumb. It ain't the universe. It's the slaves died for his freedom of speech.
Yes,
he got
did.
lynched.
A lot of them did.
So I have to disagree with you, Jay. I care because I was told the stories of my ancestors. I have visited places that were isolated and totally controlled by the dominant race. You didn't have choices. You were isolated, brainwashed, and controlled.
That's true. Some of them never had the Underground Railroad to them. So guess what? They didn't have a fucking choice.
That's why I say you can't.
What I'm saying is what Kanye was trying to say, and it was a poor illustration.
Yeah.
And he realized it early. And then it was exploited by the media based on who the messenger was and how sensitive blacks are to the history. Nobody wants to see their ancestors that were tragically abused, beaten, raped, lynched, mutilated, seen as cowards by not making a choice to try and free themselves.
And that's
the comments.
But that's what you when you say that there was a choice, you kind of make it sound like.
What I'm saying is 400 years. I'm going to pause, comma, 400 years, emphasis. That's when you hear that, it sounds like a choice to me, right? Not saying that it was a choice. It sounds like. So that opens up the fact that, hey, certain nuances could be manipulated for or against. So for the people whose plantations were isolated and in the middle and surrounded and never got the opportunity from the hired Tubman to plan and say, let's run, let's go. I could get you passage to XYZ place, right? They didn't have a choice, right? For those that said, you know what? Hey, you planning to do something, y'all better than do this, or I could tell master. And they told master on those slaves, and those slaves got hanged. They made a choice to protect their standing in the eyes of who they considered and they were conditioned by as someone that owned them or whatever the case, to protect themselves. They still made a choice. Choice is the root of that statement. Everybody has the freedom to choose. Some choices are difficult. Some choices are unfair. Some choices, but those are still choices.
Sean say why y'all run, Chrissy.
You know what, run, Chrissy? She gone. She chose to leave.
Anyhow, folks, I can leave that one. Obviously,
I love y'all. Even though y'all calling me a dummy and I don't know nothing.
Obviously, Jay. Jay sticking to he fighting for his position. Which, hey, I understand. I get. I see all the sides. I understand all positions, all perspectives. I get it. And it's no. I mean, it ain't about being blind. It's just being more considerate and more open to the very nuanced issue that this is, because there's so many parameters.
My words off.
No. You know what I'm saying? You have to apologize.
What I'm saying is, if people want me to apologize because it's so insensitive or it's offensive, then I could say that. You know why? I could say, I'm sorry because I don't want to offend people. The same way Kanye said that, you know what? No, let me take it back. But we still had the conversation because you were manipulated and conditioned by modern media to hate somebody based on your perception of them without even knowing them. And you allowed yourself to be taken up in that narrative, even though you didn't see the full conversation. You didn't see the full interview to understand the contents on how this person thinks. You just took the clickbait, you ran with it, and you dogged someone out and you were manipulated. So y'all niggas was played.
Can y'all tell that Jay is the biggest Kanye West fan in the world? No, I know, I get it. No, I get it. But thank you so much, people, for tuning in. We got to push out what time it is. Yeah, oh, Jesus, after 9. Thank you so much once again. Like I say all the time, please share the video. Go ahead and visit. Goundertherug.com. Say I am unable to can with J boy. These people ripping you to shreds in these comments, boy. What does I know you don't care. I get it, but I mean, again, take into consideration different perspectives, and that's just
I listen to people all the time.
You know what I mean? But thank you so much, people. We appreciate you for watching. We'll appreciate it if you share the video and also go to the
share that one.
What, this one?
Disagreeing with someone is not the same thing as hating them, so stop it. So here's the thing: people are disagreeing with me. I'm disagreeing with them, and that's fine.
Yeah,
we have
that's fine.
That way.
Yeah.
So let's not.
I talk to people I disagree with all. That's good conversation. I think those are the best conversations when you have conversations with people that you actually disagree with, because there's room there for you to learn. You know what I mean? You both can provide your positions, and you can have a better understanding of that person's position through dialogue, but adult dialogue, not rowing, not shouting, not calling names, not that kind of. And that's what we end up doing, especially on the internet. All people do is sling insults and call names and dismiss people. And so I saw the whole Kanye situation as something that was good because it created dialogue. And like I said, it even made me take things into consideration, take the things that I've said previously and rethink them and come up with a new position on it. So that's a good thing.
That's evolution.
Yes, that's how you evolve, and that's a good thing. So I just wish more people would do that. But that's what we have this show for, to have those kind of dialogue. So once again, peace out, people. Share the video. Go undertherug.com. Follow us on YouTube. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Look for the Under the Rug episodes. Subscribe to our channel. And until next time, peace.